Hi, I'm Jay Jacobs, and I want to welcome you to another episode of Going Beyond the Scale, where we explore living the life that you love and living it well. I wanted to share with you today is a new format. You've seen us do this before with StreamYard, which we love this particular format. This day, we're actually not only bringing on a guest that I kind of let you guys know about ahead of time, Eilzabeth, who you will love. I have some other people that are going to be coming on. They're backstage. That's what's so cool about Yardstream. They're backstage. They're watching. They're hearing. And I got to tell you what, it's going to be wonderful because, like everything we do here, it's live. It's not scripted. It's how life works. We don't worry about making mistakes. We just go forward with what's on our minds. So what I wanted to share with you is, and I think especially now with what goes on with what's been happening with people with COVID, I think this is a very timely time to have somebody come on and talk about energy, and energy in a way that I think that I would like you to listen to this as a possibility for something for you to look at and explore when you hear what Eilzabeth's going to share. And then when you hear what some of the other clients will share of what she's helped them with, the idea is Eilzabeth doesn't have one way that she does something. She's very powerful in her listening, in the way that she's with people. And here's the thing that's interesting. I want to make sure you guys know this. I've only met Eilzabeth virtually. I have yet to get to meet her in person, and I will someday, but I haven't met her yet. And everything that I got from her working with me as a client has been powerful, even in this virtual way. And you will also meet a very dear friend of mine who is the person that introduced me to Eilzabeth. And this person who you'll meet is somebody that if she says anything to me after 20 years of being with her, and she tells me this is a person that you need to talk to and need to understand, I listen to what she says. So everyone that you're going to hear from today are people that I know, that I respect, that are people that you can trust. So that's how I would like you to listen to this conversation. So with all that being said, Eilzabeth, are you there?
I'm here.
There she is. Eilzabeth, thank you for being here, because I know your energy is you're great virtually. And I also know from what Teresa has explained to me as well, and others have said, that when they get a chance to experience you in person, it must be even more powerful. But I know technology is a new place for you, and it's something that you're working through, and I wanted to acknowledge you for that. And I think that that's a place where I think a lot of people feel uncomfortable. And so I want you to be comfortable in this conversation, and the people that are in their own way uncomfortable with technology, I think we're all going to learn a lot today. So thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you. This is a treat.
So what I wanted people to know is I wanted you to kind of, in your own way, to the extent that you want to share it, personally and professionally, when people hear about energy work or somebody being an energy coach, a lot of times they come to the conversation or the thought process with their own idea of what that means. And I want you to be able to kind of explain a little bit of the backstory of how, I mean, you have done many things in your life, but how did this kind of come into your life personally and then obviously professionally? And I really do want people to understand some of your credentials because they're very impressive as well. So now I'm going to be quiet, which is strange for me, and I'd like you to share that story.
I love it. Thank you for having me. This is such a joy and delight. It really is. You know, it's always so fun to talk about things you love. And this is something that, it has been one more wild ride, to say the least. You know, indirectly and directly, I've been helping men and women create and change and shift their emotional and their physical and mental, life and world for, now in so many different ways over 25 years. And I love, it's been a journey to even name the bottom line is I simply love helping my clients get what they want, which is feel better. And we all have all kinds of things that happen to us in life. My life, because y'all are in it too, is so amazing now. It not necessarily was always this way though. As a child, I was the sensitive one in my little family, and maybe even too sensitive sometimes. I was emotionally really just moved by art and music and all the ballet. Oh, I tell you, I wanted to be a prima donna. It was just wonderful. And nobody kind of got that part of me though. So it was all, family dynamics, playing soccer and basketball. I was more inclined to, swimming and being in the water and all that dance stuff. But anyway, a life journey this has been for me. Okay, from working in surgery, I used to scrub and assist in surgery, which I love, love, love. That was such a stepping into working on so many different levels with so many different extraordinary physicians.
Mhm.
It is talk about an art form, and then anything from open heart to orthopedics and everything in between. And then I said, okay, I'm done with that. And then so I became a counselor working with um, those with substance abuse. And the gifts that I have received from them are incredible and in that world, because this is where I was introduced into the working with art, music, meditation, nature, all sorts of things as a healing, as a way of healing. And the creativity that came out of folks was just absolutely magnificent. The beauty with us that we discover and get to witness is pretty knock your socks off. But then we all have our little ups and downs in life. And then in 2012, that is when my life truly, truly, truly changed. And I lost my sister to cancer and my mother about a week later because of congestive heart failure. I had gone to California to be with my mom actually for holidays, and all these things just really unwound. And so I ended up being with my sister first in working with her in crisis and in her cancer situation of creating sacred space, healing space. We had nurses coming in because we had aromatherapy going on. It was really a happening place, should I say, for healing and joy. And so after that, then my little mother had her little deal. And so I went, oh, Lord. So here I am between kind of the two of them. But it was such a special time because I got to use all of my sensitivities for all of their needs, the meditation, the music, and creating art and reading and all these kinds of things. And but as I say, I lost them both in a week, and that left me the only one in my immediate family. Well, of course, I was devastated. And, I absolutely did not know which end was up. I didn't know who I was, what was happening, and what in the world am I to do now? So, well, I got hit over the head with a 2x4, more or less. And so I said, all right, you go do what you love. And you love all this energy work. I had been exposed to, stepped on the labyrinth, and that's energy work and all sorts of things. I said, you got to be kidding. I said, okay, why not? So here we go, everybody. I finished my certifications. I got to work with the most extraordinary people on the planet that 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 are well versed in the medical model in our Western medicine, as well as healing work and energy work, whatever. And the science these days is just terrific. If anybody ever wants any, it's very exciting. The change is going on in our world. So I was certified and did all that sort of thing. And then I was at Stanford as the Healing Touch Specialist, the Cancer Supportive Care Program. That was extraordinary also, because it's still this extraordinary program that serves all the community and then some, and there's no charge. And where I live now, we also have a Healing Partners of the Central Coast, which I'm certainly involved in. And all of this work, everybody, is remote. So if you want to know more, if you are interested, that would maybe be a possibility for you or a loved one.
So when you talk about healing touch, especially for the cancer side of it, is it where are you with someone? Or are you with the doctors and with someone? Or is it just like when you've done with me and some of the other people today, where it's a one-on-one, where there's somebody that has a particular need and you're calling it healing touch? It's not necessarily that you're laying hands on them. It's more your energy work like you've done from a distance.
Correct. This is an actual modality of certification.
Okay.
And the reason I chose it is because it aligns so beautifully with the medical model.
Okay.
And so they come together so nicely. We have a lot of docs that refer to us, to be quite honest.
And mainly what you're doing, though, I want to make sure is that you do many things with healing, but primarily it's with pain as well, being able to move beyond the pain or the discomfort. You're being able to energetically see where there's something that's blocking. Or what is that what you're doing? Is it mainly on the pain side of it?
Exactly. It works with actually just about anything, but particularly because I work, my strong sensitivity is working with the physicality, with the body. I can find the blocks. I can see things. I can sense things. I can say, wait, you better check with your doc, or go get this checked out for sure. We can open up things, but it's not only, Jay. Yes, it is physical, but everything is so connected. Our spirit, our mind, our body, everything that we do. So this energy work works with everything.
The reason why I bring that up is because I think you know me well enough to know I'm very much thought and mind first into the body. Some people, that makes them feel uncomfortable, and that's why I wanted to make sure people understood that you are, and with many people, same thing. It depends on the person. Like, you'll read the person, you understand that you understand. You actually get a sense of how they think and how they may listen to you. That's what I love about it, is that you don't tell them what to do. You're not giving somebody therapy. You're listening for them, looking for things, and then allowing them, quite frankly, I think you said it before, like, you're helping to facilitate they're in the process of healing. It's not that you do some magic wand thing. You're actually opening up for them. Is that true?
Yeah, the premise, that's beautifully said. Thank you so much. The biggest takeaway actually today, Jim, my cousin must be thinking about me, is that what I've learned is that we direct our own healing. You do your own, we all do our own. It's not this magic thing out here. The medications, all these magnificent things that we have on the earth today, they're so important, but it comes from inside. We do our own, we direct our healing totally. And all healing, actual healing, is self-healing. Does that make sense?
I love it.
And that comes from within. All these other things are a support. They help us and guide us. They can see the symptoms in one thing and work with symptoms, but the actual healing work comes from within. That's what I work with. And those are the levels that I work with. And that's what the energy work does.
And then the other thing I know that happens too, because we've had this discussion before, and also you talked with my wife, Kim, as well, and other people that I know, that sometimes the physicality, then if the person's willing and they open up, then what happens too is, as we all know, there's past emotions, there's things that are there. You're not doing therapy, but you're giving a person, once again, to kind of go back to, like, there are pieces of the puzzle that kind of happen. So depending on the person and their willingness to be open, you work within the physical world, and then also whatever's going on from their emotions and thoughts and things like that, you're allowing them to continue to discover as well.
Because those things will definitely come up. And that's where all of my, should I say, my gifts and talents expand into working. Say you love nature. Well, then there are things that you can do to connect with nature that promote and support your healing. And so these are kinds of things that come in, whether it be sacred doodling, what I call sacred doodling, or you can go walk on the beach, things of this nature. Music, you know how powerful music is to help us in our healing, shifting things, creating mood, challenge, all of those things. And so this is one of the things that I do when I work with folks, is that I create, we both create this cocoon, should I say, this safe environment where they can access their own gifts and as well as their own healing potential and their own resources. And I get to show up and I get to work with them like this in giving my gifts.
Well, one of the things that we had talked about a little bit in a pre-interview was there are times when you will do a course or a class or a series, and you will invite people in, and then you will do the work with them, do some exercises. That was one of the options we had for today. And in talking about it, because there's a wide range of people, and we don't really they're stopping by, but they don't really know you. And I wanted this to be an introduction. What I'm really glad that you were willing to do, and the people that we're going to bring on were willing to do, is I thought, I know what you do because I've experienced it personally. And I thought, well, that's just my experience. So there's other people. And what I like is I want to be able to have some of these other people kind of share what they've gotten from you, because I think instead of doing an exercise, it'll be an interesting way for people to maybe hear themselves in another conversation from somebody else. That is the purpose of why I wanted people to know of you, is because if they're open and they listen to these conversations, then hopefully they'll be willing to get in a conversation with you, and they will discover for themselves what maybe has been a blocking. So what I'd like to do is, if you could, we're going to put you in backstage for a moment. I'm going to ask somebody to come on that was the one that kind of started this whole thing. So if you're good with that, we'll put you backstage. Teresa, there's Teresa. This is my good friend, Teresa. Teresa and I have been friends for 20 plus years. We have worked on many, many things. We are very squirrely about a lot of things we do. We get along really, really well. We're very open and honest. And as I said in the introduction, Teresa is the kind of person, there's no anything false. She's truthful. She's very straightforward. There's no gauzing over things. And when Teresa was starting to talk to me about Eilzabeth, and she knew what I was up to, and she knows what I like to do in supporting people, she said, you need to talk to her, you need to understand her. And I did. And then she's like, well, you maybe should have her do a session with you. And it's like, okay, I'll do that. When I got done with all that, I was like, oh my God. Then I was like the town crier. I'm like talking this one, that one, whatever. So anyway, Teresa, give us an idea, to the degree that you want to, like, you met her, you've been with her, you are somebody, you're very discerning. So you don't get through the Teresa door without, passing some tests. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, it's a really good thing. So kind of tell us about your experience with Eilzabeth and what you've learned and what you've seen in working with her as well.
Yeah, it's a true pleasure to talk to my very, very good friend Jay across the country, and of course to really talk about Eilzabeth as a healer, and then energy healing as something that people really should investigate in terms of their whole wellness and self-care program. So coming from the East Coast, I did not have any touch point on what energy healing was. That happened as I transitioned to California. And of course, that makes sense, right? We're all out here, we got legal, marijuana, and we got alcohol everywhere. It's great out here, right? Sunshine. Well, we got energy healing too. And how I got introduced to it was actually through my physician. I was being treated, going on to some new medication, and she was a new doctor to me because we had just moved. She is a doctor. She's a DO, so a doctor of osteopathy, which means they treat more than just your physical body. Right? They do a surround look, and they're okay, with auras and chakras and meridian lines and stuff like this. And her recommendation was that the energy healing could potentially increase the effectiveness of my medication and quell side effects, so I would feel better faster. So again, to Jay's point, I don't readily accept this kind of, hoo-ha stuff. And I thought to myself, well, I like this doctor well enough. It's an hour of my life. It certainly won't hurt. I came as open as I could to Eilzabeth. But when somebody says energy healer, for me anyway, a certain visual does pop up. And I'm thinking beads and crystals and some chanting, a lot of tie-dye. Let's say that. Well, Eilzabeth fell far short of that expectation. She is professional, and totally owned the room. She probably sensed right away that I was only half open. I was going to give her a little bit, but she was going to have to reach over, because I wasn't just going to give over, instinctively to her. And I can tell you, she intuitively brought me forward in the way that I could respond best. I'm sure she does different things with different people.
Yeah.
You know, had she talked to me about certain modalities that I now know about, just because I've been working with her for so long, and energy medicine and healing is one of those things. If you get it, and you want more of it. Because again, it's like becoming a whole package of healing rather than just keep focusing on what the doctors tell you to do. And the one great takeaway from Eilzabeth throughout my my time with her is, you know, get out of your head and get into your body. And that's such interesting. If you break that down, it's a super interesting concept, Jay.
Yeah.
Because we as humans kind of think our brains lead us and our bodies follow. That does happen. But what if we let our bodies say what they need and go forward? And in some of working with Eilzabeth, I've found, and this is just this is absolutely thrilling if you really think about it. The first organ to form is the heart, long before the brain.
Didn't know that.
They have found that as many signals that pass between the heart to the brain and the brain to the heart sends multitudes more to the brain than the brain sends back. And the heart, of course, is pumping all your, you know, your blood around. It's everywhere. Your blood's going everywhere, right? It gets around. It knows the score, right? And it brings all that intelligence to your heart. And then your heart says, oh, okay, we've got to put up, you know, we let's do this, let's do that. And then the brain can follow. But so often in this culture, meaning the American culture, we're really taught, right? Put your mind to it, right?
Yeah.
You know, if you just concentrate harder, you'll get it. You know, you've got to stick to it and just, you know, stay determined. Well, Eilzabeth will teach, if you let her, there's a certain little bit of letting go and trusting.
Yeah. And
letting your body do what it's going to do, because as she so well said, the body is self-healing. And I didn't think that was so true until my doctor said, well, she said, think about this. She said, if you get a cut or a bruise, you don't do anything to heal it.
That's a good point.
But it heals. If not, we'd all walk around with, you know, how we would all look.
Yeah, it wouldn't be good.
A lot worse than others, you know, who are maybe not as graceful on their feet. And then she said, you know, when a surgeon goes in, they don't heal the body, right? They move something around, put something in, take something out. They sew you back up and they send you home. And your body heals, right? That's why they tell you to rest, so your body can heal. So it's just, I'm blessed and honored to talk about Eilzabeth and to have her in my life as my healer, because I know the profound impact she's had on my blood tests. You know, we've actually done things like that to strengthen my immune system. Where my doctor, you know, was saying, hey, you know, it's a little low here and there. I brought that to Eilzabeth, and Eilzabeth said, honey, I got you. That's what we're going to work on. And next blood test, I was a full point higher.
You know,
it's a big deal.
T, one of the things I've always, and like I said, you and I've done a lot of things together. One of the things that I've learned from you is, and I get a big enough ego, and I've been around, and I think I know some things, but there's always a part of you that you'll see something I didn't see, and you'll show it to me. And because I trust you, probably like what happened with you with Eilzabeth, I'm like, I I never thought of it that way. And there's a couple of things that have come out of it that I've never heard the heart thing before. That's really cool. And the other part that happened by you introducing me to Eilzabeth is that I think you know me, I've always been mind over matter, the whole hit. I mean, I grew up with all that. I've lived in the world of the Tony Robbins and the Napoleon Hills and the Jim Rohn, and I still love all that stuff because I think it makes something. But I will tell you, the more that I think the reason why I was attracted to what you were doing and then what Eilzabeth shared, I felt like I was given a gift of starting to actually, maybe the things that I thought made sense, they might have been well intended, but maybe they weren't serving me in a particular way. And then once again, and what you've kind of been a pioneer to go and do that, you're like the Pied Piper. You've affected me, you've affected Kim, you've affected other people. And I think to me, that's the important thing in these kinds of conversations. None of us are putting on our woo-woo hats. All of us are pretty, what I would call regular. And it's like the gift you want everybody to look, just take a look. And what I love what you said, it's an hour of your life. It's a half an hour. It's a conversation. And if you didn't have it, you know as well as I do, and I know as well, it's the same thing, the quality of what we see and how we've been living would be totally different than if we weren't willing to do that. So, I mean, it's very powerful what you did. I really love that.
This is what I would say, right? If you're at all curious, 1%, even if you want to be a skeptic, right? Come in and challenge it.
Yeah.
Do it. Decide. But know it's out there. Know it's out there. In another conversation with another friend, she said to me, she goes, I never thought you would believe in that kind of thing. And I said, well, I don't have to believe in gravity to stick to the earth. It just is. I said, that's the way it is with energy. You don't have to believe it.
Right.
It just is.
Right.
It's all energy. You are an energetic being. Your cells, everything's just energy.
Yeah.
Eilzabeth can talk about, she can wax on about that a lot more than I can. But that's what I would say to people, why buck it till you tried it? Is kind of what I think.
The one other thing I want to have you share before I bring on the next guest is, and I hadn't heard this before, you and I have been both double vaccinated. Okay.
Yes.
I had no issue with shot number 1, no issue with shot number 2. Kim had an issue with shot number 2. She was waiting for me to have my issue. And then she was kind of she wasn't mad, but she's like, why do you not have these things? I don't know. I'm not trying to not do it, Kim, but I didn't have the thing. What was shocking to me was you had shot number 1. So talk about what had happened. And the reason why I want you to share this is because there's a lot of people that are in a very practical mode right now, whether they're vaccinated, not vaccinated, effect, whatever. And that's something that lots of people have done. And you had something had happened, and Eilzabeth helped you with it, which was holy cow, I had no idea.
Yeah. So she did really, it was an emergency energy call. I had my first vaccination, and about 12 hours later, that I was to the point where I couldn't get off the couch. I had severe pains down through my lower back and hips and legs, and chills, that kind of chill. I was under 3 blankets and a dog, and in front of the fireplace.
Wow.
And I was still shivering.
Wow.
And if you think I'm a tough nut to crack, Jay will tell you my husband is an even bigger and harder nut to crack. Oh, yeah. And he actually said, why, I'm calling Eilzabeth if you don't.
Yeah.
Because he had seen the difference in me, one session to another session to another session, and how good I was progressing, through my transition of my first sickness. So Eilzabeth, boy, she hot-tailed it down the hill. She came over and she just said, oh, okay. And she can talk about this probably better than I can, Jay. I'm going to tell you in 25 minutes, I was calm. The pain was, I wouldn't say it was, vanished, but manageable, not scary, okay, walking around, and moving in the world again. So, shifting from very scary, oh, this is not good place, I should probably go to the hospital, to, you know, being helped in a 25-minute window. I think that's pretty incredible. And then knowing that I was going to get the second shot, Eilzabeth said, okay, why don't we do this? Why don't we do, let's do some energy work before your shot. And it was really thrilling, because it's like, oh, well, we should have done that the first time. But who knew, right? Eilzabeth didn't know, and I didn't know. And you don't have to fix somebody's who's not broken. Anyway, had the second shot. Didn't, and I mean nothing. My arm was not sore, no headache, no fever, nothing. I think I wanted a nap, but everybody likes a good nap. So so that's the vaccination story. Two sides of the coin there.
Well, Gloria, bring on Eilzabeth for a moment, if you would. Don't make Teresa disappear. Eilzabeth, can you hear us?
I can.
Now, before we bring on the next guest, is there anything that you want to add to the conversation at all before we do that? Or you don't have to. It's not like you're being tested, but it's up to you.
I just send just such big hugs. It has been such a joy and delight working with Teresa, because I have seen her grow and change, and the progress that she's made, and has allowed me to be a part of that. And there's no greater joy in seeing people flourish, because also when she flourishes, I get to do that too.
Yeah.
Because I get to do what I love doing, and she was open enough, and honey, she's a tough cookie, and she's a trip. She really is. And listen, her articulation, she can say so many things and test me, and I love it, because we get to laugh a lot too.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because that's the other thing I tell people all the time, whether it's a doctor or somebody else as well. And when you talk about self-healing, unfortunately, what many people do is they don't take responsibility and open their mouth and say what needs to be said and tell what's going on. And that's one of the reasons why you and Teresa work so well together, because you're both very open and honest. You'll say what needs to be said. And I tell people that all the time, like, look, you can lay under it and you can be a victim of something, but you can open your mouth and own your healing as best you can. And so I think the dance that you two have done is a great example of it works, because you both are doing that. And I think people should also take away that I don't care who they're dealing with, they need to be part of it. They can't just it's not like Eilzabeth's going to come save you. You're saved yourself. That's a big difference.
It's a real partnership. It really is. It's a gorgeous, intimate partnership of trust and learning and forgiving.
Yeah. So Teresa, as always, it's great talking with you. Thank you so much for what you started in your relationship and friendship with Eilzabeth, and how that ripple effect is going forward with many, many people. So we're going to ask you to go backstage again, and we're going to bring on the next guest. Gloria, let's bring up Kelly. You guys maybe have seen Kelly before. Kelly is my sister. She is also recently, she's the CEO of our newly formed company that's called Forest Media. Forest Media was inspired by our dad, who passed away in August. Kelly is the CEO, which is an acronym for the Chief Energy Officer. And I'm not going to be in this conversation at all. This is going to be Kelly and Eilzabeth talking. And just as a point of reference, my sister is extremely accomplished in the world of all the things of, once again, credentials and MBA. She's a registered nurse. She's the person in our family, when anybody has cooties or anything, we go to my sister, because she'll give us some direction and advice. So what I love about Kelly's interaction with Eilzabeth is grounded in understanding the world of energy healing and physicality with doctors and physicians. And Kelly has lived in that world forever. So listen to these two talking about it from what Kelly's gotten personally, but also understanding that it's not some weirdo thing. This is something that's really grounded in sound science and paying attention to things. So I'm going to go now disappear. You two can talk.
Uh-oh.
Oh, here we
Eilzabeth,
are. I love it. I love it.
it's you and me.
I know.
So I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you to T. Teresa
Yeah.
she's the connector. And, I've known Teresa not as long as Jay, but I honor her and respect her as somebody that when Teresa says something, I listen. And so Jay and I together went through a journey last year with the illness and subsequent passing on of her dad. And that's where Forest Media comes from, is dad was Forest. And I think it was sometime at the end of the year. I personally was having a lot of physical pain on the right side of my body, which is kind of interesting, and Eilzabeth can share about it. And Jay mentioned my nickname's Nub. He's like, Nub, there's this wonderful person that T's told me about. You need to connect. And I think you'll have a lot of things in common. And one of the things that I will share is that as a registered nurse who kind of went down the pathway of business, I was an open heart nurse. So when Eilzabeth and I started talking, there was this magic connection of a person who is a healer, and that's Eilzabeth, who actually, I just want to share that what she is able to bring people present to and what's inside of them is powerful. And one of the things I think it might be great, Eilzabeth, I mean, you and I are 3,000 miles away. We have never met physically, right? And yet you have touched me absolutely, probably as physically as you could if you were sitting here next to me. So I think it might be great if you would just share a little how it happened. Because I mean, as a clinician, it just made sense to me about like a little bit of the process when you meet a person for the first time.
Oh gosh. There's a way of connecting with people, of being open and having a sense. Okay, what the real deal is that I'm a very highly sensitive person, and I'm also very empathic. So I can really, I tune in, and I tune in with the intention of seeing the person who they really are all the time, and what are their gifts. And that's the joy for me, because I can see things that sometimes that we can see things in each other, and I have a sense, and I can feel different things, not just the physical, but I can see the beauty in people, and that gets to come forward too. And I get to work with people like that, with you, and I can see all these neat things that maybe sometimes you don't get to see. So we get to discover that together and work with that on so many different levels, and have rich conversation. That's really important to me, to have rich conversation and to ask questions and to see what people are really about and what it is that they want and what are their needs and what are their dreams and how do we make that happen and how do we be our best selves and what is that about and what is it going to take, and hopefully a gentle journey and a partnership of
Well,
moving
and
forward.
it's interesting because 3,000 miles away, when it's like you're there and I'm here, and we see each other and people can see us. So if you don't believe in energy, what is this, right? We're going across the
Exactly.
wavelength. But I will say in our first session together, you, and as a nurse, what do we always have? We always have like, we do an assessment. I mean, that's just part of the nurse thing. You do an assessment head to toe, right?
Yeah,
Checking over head to toe. So you went through a process of checking me over head to toe. You were
absolutely.
3,000 miles away. I was here. And the most amazing thing was, one of the things I had hip pain, my leg hurt. It was on the right hand side. But as you went through that, you actually could see the places where I was blocked. And I will say that one of the things I experienced, I smelled things. I smelled lovely lemons. It was just delightful. I saw colors and I felt warmth. And this was not, it's not one of those things where people could say it's woo-woo. I mean, this is a real type of thing. And the one thing that was interesting is with the death of my dad, and going back to what T talked about heart, is as you were doing it, she said, I feel a wave of grief going through your heart. She said, it feels like it comes and it goes, and it's not unpleasant, but it's there. And in that description, you completely got the feeling I was having. And so to this day, when I miss my dad, and I'll have it go through a wave, and I'll miss him, and it'll come up, and it'll go down. And it's just the most lovely context. And I will say that if nothing else, that brought peace and comfort to me that is priceless.
Thank you. You know, that is there is a process, and thank you for bringing that up. You know, I think I have a kind of a challenge in talking about it because it's just so natural to me that's just kind of what you do. And I assume sometimes foolishly that everybody can do that. And I forget that, wait a minute, I know, hello. And so an important part of the huge part of the process is that we have a focus and an intention. And we create this wonderful space together. We put ourselves in this gorgeous cocoon that is just so fun, and we are able to connect on a heart level. And that's first and foremost for me.
And the wonderful thing is you actually feel better, physically feel better. One of my issues, quite frankly, is to get a balance between my feminine and my masculine, which is interesting. But part of when I have pain, it's on my right side. So one of the things that Eilzabeth suggested and helped me was really getting very present to being grounded. And when I'm getting out of whack, is I go and I take my shoes off and I go out in the backyard and I connect and I ground myself with nature. And you know what more elemental than that? It's just like, whoa. So, it's strategies just like T has described. The other thing that's great through meeting Eilzabeth is, and Jay talks about me being CEO, I'm very grounded in the world of business, and that's what I love too. And one of the things that I've been able to really uncover and develop again is the nurse in me. And so part of what also helped to open up is my heart. And the irony, as they were talking about the vaccines just a few minutes ago, I'm now running one of our vaccine pods at a local hospital to try to help to give protection to others. And who knew? Not something that I had done. But I'm enjoying that, and I'm loving helping these 12-year-olds and the adolescents. They are so excited to be able to get the protection for COVID. It is awe-inspiring that these kids are like ready to put their arm out and facing their fears because they really believe in it. It's really cool.
And that's one of your gifts too, how you inspire these precious young people. I mean, talk about giving you gifts. Hello. We walk into things, I just don't believe there's no such thing as mistake. Everything has reason and purpose. And here you are. I just love it. That's so great. Working with all these precious children and this wonderful vaccine. Talk about some powerhouse energy. That's that vaccine, folks.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
So I want to say thank you to Eilzabeth because I'm on a journey with you. So once I think you meet Eilzabeth, you don't do it. And thank you to my brother, my dear brother, and T, because without you in connecting us, there. Oh, speaking of my brother, yay!
It brought me back, Kelly. What's really great is and there's a whole other conversation that we could have, but the other part is Eilzabeth helped both you and I in some family challenges with Dad and other ones. And that's the other part when we talked about the physical pain, because that was one of the things. But without going into the details, Eilzabeth had, Kelly and I very much have male-female kind of approaches back and forth. But with Dad's passing, she's had a lot more of sorrow than I have. We have it in different ways, and we have other things that happen. And so in a strange way, it's almost like as Dad died, I kind of took on a little bit more of the, kind of what I would call the fatherish thing. And I think it gave Kelly some relief to be able to be more feminine in certain regards. But the things that you had said to both she and I, Eilzabeth, that weren't physical, but they were emotional things that we were dealing with. You gave us the freedom to be clear, to not have guilt, to have a better understanding of where we were, to be what I would call more whole and complete, so that we can be whole and complete with the other people that we have in our life as well. And I think that's one of the things that can happen through this, is that when a person heals themselves, then hopefully it does ripple out to other people. And I think that when people are listening to you, I would say, like they say, put the oxygen mask on yourself first. But when you do that, you will have energy and you'll have a new view of the world to put it on other people as well. And I think that's something that I don't know that everybody really gets that. This is not just about you. It's like what Kelly's doing with the vaccinations. And like, I think in the world we've understood, we all need to take care of ourselves, but we all feel a lot better when we're contributing to other people. So your work does that as well. I want to make sure people get that. And I also want to make sure, we didn't talk about it in the opening, the work you do is not invasive. It is something that is very holistic and it's very nurturing, and there's no wrong, like what you said, there's nothing wrong with what's going on. So
Thank you.
Yeah. So Kelly, thank you for that. I'm going to ask you to go backstage a minute. Okay. I want to be able to bring on the Wizard of Oz behind the scenes. Gloria and I have been working together for the past couple of years in the world of health and well-being. She's made a major transformation for herself personally in her health and well-being. She's been a contribution to boatloads of people that she and I have been working with on a business side, client-wise. And she and I have continued to work together and grow and learn back and forth. And Gloria is probably one of the, what I would call one of the most, she's very inquisitive, has questions, but she's very willing, which people, she's very willing to listen. And she actually, when she trusts somebody, she actually takes their advice and does it. She's a good listener. I'm not as good a listener. She's a great listener. But that's fine. We all need to be, we need some people that aren't as good listeners as I am. I'm not one of those. Anyway, I'm going to ask Gloria and Eilzabeth to kind of do what Kelly and Eilzabeth did. I want them to kind of have that conversation. I'm going to go, Gloria's going to put me away. I want you guys to talk and share what you guys have connected, and then we'll kind of wrap everything up.
I love it. I love being with you again.
Always come on at the end. I have to wrap it all up.
I know, but honey, you do more than wrap it up. You just finished saving me to be able to even just get on with a coolness that just, oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you. Gloria works her magic with technology.
I approach everything that way because I remember years ago when I was working in corporate America, someone said we had a big problem in the computer room. And once it was resolved, he said to me, "You were just so calm about it." And I look at things as there's two ways of going. You can go the calm route, or you can go the world's falling apart route. And the calm route gets you there much faster.
It does. And you help keep me very calm. That's cool. I mean, this solidness there, you know.
There's always a way to work things out. And like I said to you before, you know what? Life goes on and we figure it out. And look, we've been on for almost 50 minutes and it's working fine. So it's cool.
No, I haven't crashed.
Won't crash, I promise. But you know, when we first met, actually, I had heard all about you because I heard from Jay and from Kim and from Kelly. And I had been going through a hard time, and Kelly was generous enough from, I think it was Valentine's Day, to get us all together. And it was actually the day I went for my second COVID shot. And as you talked to each, and I think I wasn't the first one to go. I was, I think, the third one. I think you talked to Kelly and Smitha first. And every time you talked to them, I kept changing what my topic was because there were so many topics we can address. And as I was sitting here, because they said when you go for your second shot, you're not supposed to take any Motrin. That day, I had not taken it, and I have very bad arthritis in my hips. So as we were sitting there, I was sitting there going, oh my God, I'm just going to go for it and see what happens from a physical perspective. And you pegged it was the right side. And as we talked, all of a sudden, like the pain went away. And it was probably the most pain-free I had been, I would say, in 2 years. Now I'm pain-free because I had surgery, but that night I slept really well, and it lasted probably for a day or two. And it was honestly the longest and only pain-free time I had had easily in 2 years.
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, I'm always amazed. And of course thrilled, just to get that pain relief and to open up those areas so that you can get that flow and comfort again.
Yeah, it was remarkable. It really was. Like, I don't know that I would have believed it going in, but I certainly buy into it now.
What did you think about, y'all, what we did was, Kelly, we had a group. It's Friends Healing Friends. And we all came together, about 4 or 5 of us. I don't remember how many. And I would work with them individually and as well as a group. And then they would work on each other in doing some healing work as a group. And it was just really, talk about awesome and fun work. And that's when, of course, Gloria and I really got to meet and have some awesome time together.
I know, and I'll be honest, even though I was kind of watching and observing, when you were talking, I think, to Smitha, the situation the way you were healing Smitha, I kind of like got caught up in it and certain things of my own, and even some of that just got resolved. So it was a great experience. It really was.
Oh, thank you. And that is called, and I know people have heard it in so many different ways. It's the power of the group, because we have all this, you're in this wonderful container of energy that we all create. I mean, we go through a process and we create this. And so everyone is in such an amazing place, and they learn to do things for themselves as well, how they can personally, they don't need me to do it. I'm really big on tools, giving people tools to work with. But it was a special time.
It was.
To gather and to be with incredible women to do this kind of work together and to introduce. And thank you so much for being there. And I'm so glad everything is okay.
So far, one more to go.
Keeps on. It makes a difference. It really does.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just gentle and sweet. Makes a difference.
See, I can pay attention and talk at the same time, too.
Yes.
You are good.
That's the Wizard of Ozness about her.
She's a wizard.
Yes, she is. The reason I wanted to hop in is because, as Gloria mentioned, she got hip surgery, and she's done extremely well. She's getting hip surgery again. And so I just wanted to kind of interject here that the same way you would help Teresa with when she had the shot thing going on, and then you helped her get through that, it sounds like it probably makes sense for you and you guys to connect again before she goes. So everything went great. But like she said the other day, what Gloria mentioned was the new leg is great, but it's not going to be the same kind of strength. So I think that it probably makes sense. This is another great example where you can get ahead of it. You can help her before she has that next surgery beforehand, so that healing and everything is primed, the pump's primed before, because I know she's relentless anyway. She doesn't really, she's doing a good job trying to stop. But I do know that once she gets the other leg, she's going to really be like a crazy woman. So I think we need to make sure that she's properly prepared mentally and physically. So I would just like to put that out there, Eilzabeth, that it might be really helpful for you guys to get back together before her next leg.
I would be delighted. Absolutely. It really does make a huge, huge, huge difference. Especially with your bones. People don't realize a lot of times, your bones have so many nerve endings and all kinds of stuff, I mean, they feel it's a living thing. And bones are incredible. And especially those hip bones, well, they're all pretty important, but those are big time. So yeah, absolutely. Let's get together so we can really set things up to go for smooth and gentle all the way.
So Gloria, I butted in again. Do you want me to go away, or do you have any? You okay?
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm going to go away so you can talk to Eilzabeth and wrap things up.
You got it. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gloria.
Thank you, Gloria.
Wrong one. Hold on.
So, Eilzabeth, first of all, I want to thank you for being here. I want to acknowledge the fact that some people freak out when they have technology issues. We all have them all the time. It happens for all of us. And you were a champ, and it was perfectly fine. And as I told you before, like, there's no wrong. And that's the point. That's what I want people to get from this, is that you will not make people wrong. They will make themselves wrong. As you and I both know, we don't need to make people wrong. We all, as human beings, we make ourselves wrong. We don't need to do that. And you're not that way. So from what we talked about, this is not the last time that we'll talk. And the last time I definitely want to have you come on for other specific topics at times, and things will come up. My main purpose today is I wanted to be able to get people to know who you are. I've seen living proof of what you can do for people, and I want more people to experience you. So, this will be out again. If they weren't here live, they're going to be able to see it on YouTube. We'll post links about it. People need to go to your website. But before I kind of wrap everything up, is there anything from what you saw so far today, or any highlights that you want to share? I mean, if there's something there, fine. If there's not, don't worry about it. But anything before I kind of wrap it up?
I think that's everybody has. I'm blown away. I really am. It's just, it's so heartwarming to be with folks and to share that journey. And I thank you, Jay, and Gloria, and the team, and everyone that I'm just thrilled to be able to do this work.
That's great.
And I'm also, come to think about it, on my website, I do offer consultations, a 30-minute consultation, and if there is no charge for that, folks, I would be more than glad to, shoot me a note, and we'll set a time, and we'll have a chat, and we'll probably do a little bit of energy work. I always like for people to experience that, a little bit of it, just for a few minutes, to have a sense of what that is, because it opens up whole new worlds. It really does. And new understandings about yourself and connecting with yourself. And it makes a difference, or can, in your relationships. It can be really, on so many levels. It's made a difference in my life, that's for sure. And I think particularly the people that I get to be with.
That's great.
Life is good.
It is. Eilzabeth, thank you so much for being here, and we'll have you back again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.